Hello everyone, I'm Nabil Murad from Toronto, Canada. In this training video, I'll show you how to use data validation in Microsoft Excel. This tutorial consists of two parts. This is part 1 of 2 about data validation. If you want to follow along, you can download the exercise file from the link below this video. What does it mean, data validation? It simply means what are you allowing in the cells and what am I not allowing in the cells. In this example, I have a data set which shows a list of names in column A. This is a list of employee names. And then in column B, I have an employee ID. In column C, I have a hire date. And in column D, I have a department. And we have some constraints for each piece of information we are collecting. So for instance, if I click in column B, I read a screen tip, and in this tooltip it says the employee identification number should be 4 characters long, which means if I type more than 4 characters long, so I'm going to type EL and then 1, 2, now I'm at 4 characters long. If I try to type one more character and then hit enter, I get a violation message which says the employee identification number is invalid. Please try another number. I have no choice. I can retry, and this time I'm going to delete the 5th character. If I hit enter, it went through. For the hire date, whenever I select a cell in the hire date column, I see a message, a tooltip which says the hire date should be earlier than today's date. What happens if I type a date equal to today's date or a date in the future? Today is the 2nd of July 2017. So if I type a date, if I type today's date, I'm violating the rule, and the message box, a violation message box, says the hire date is greater than or equal to today's date. So you can simply cancel or retry. And then for the department, here I have another data validation rule, and this data validation rule enables me to select from a drop list. That saves a lot of time and ensures the integrity of your list in Excel. So instead of typing, the user will simply be selecting from a list. And if the user tries to type something that's not in the list, I'm going to type like a shipping department, and if I hit enter, I'm violating the rule and this will be rejected. I have to hit cancel or retry by selecting a value from the list. How to create a data validation rule? To create a data validation rule, I have another fresh copy of the same exact list, and I'll try by creating a data validation rule. I'll start selecting the employee ID column. Notice that I'm selecting the employee ID column which already contains values, and these values were entered before creating the data validation rule. These values will not be affected by the rule that I'm creating, even if they are violating the rule. I'm selecting the entire range, and then I'll go to the data tab, and on the data tab I'm going to click on data validation. What would you like to allow in this list? The data validation dialog box consists of 3 tabs: the settings tab, the input message tab, and the error alert tab. Let's start with the settings tab. What would you like to allow in this range? So I would like to allow a text length. So I'm going to select text length. When I select text length, I see more options being added to the dialog box. I would like to allow a text length of a maximum of 4 characters. So I'm going to select less than or equal, and then I have to type the maximum number of characters that I'm allowing in this range of cells. So I'm going to type 4. And then to make it easier for the user, I'm going to type an input message. What does it mean, an input message? It means simply a tooltip. This is what you will see in the tooltip. Let's say I'm going to say data information. That's the title. And then I'm going to type the employee ID. The employee ID should not exceed 4 characters. The employee ID should not exceed 4 characters. And then what if the user violates the rule? So instead of getting the default message, I can select a different icon. So I can select a warning icon, I can select a stop icon, whatever icon you select, and then here I'm going to say that's wrong, and then I'll say you entered more than 4 characters, and that will be my message. I'll hit OK, and now the rule is in place. If you select any cell, you see whatever you typed for the tooltip or for the message that guides the user. Now I'm going to start typing, so I'm going to type, let's say, TD, and then 3, 4, that's fine. I'm conforming with the rule. If I type an extra character and then I hit enter, I'm violating the rule, and here is the wrong message with the icon I specified. It tells me you have to retry or you can cancel, so I'm going to retry, and then I'm going to delete the last character. Now if I hit enter, it went through. What if you already have values in this range to which you apply data validation, and these values violate the rule? Microsoft Excel is not going to delete these values. It will keep the values, but you can find them. You can highlight these values. You can easily identify these values in that range by selecting data validation on the data tab and select circle invalid data. When I do that, I have an invalid piece of information here, so at least I can identify it. If I want to go and correct it manually, that's fine. So if I click on the down arrow one more time, I can clear the validation circle. So I'm going to clear the validation circle. A second type of data validation rule in which you control whatever you want for the date. So let's say this is a hire date, and the hire date by nature should be anything in the past. It couldn't be in the future. So I would like to create a data validation rule in this range in column C. So I'll select the whole range, and as usual, go to the data tab and click on data validation. On the settings tab, what would you like to allow in this range? So I click on the down arrow, and I'm talking about date, so I'm going to select date. And when I select date, I'm going to specify that it should be less than, or let's select less than, and the end date less than today's date. So I'm going to type today. I'm going to type today, and then an opening and a closing bracket. This is a volatile function. It should start with an equal sign, and then I'll hit OK. So I specified that in this range, the date should be earlier than today's date. What if I type today's date? So today is the 2nd of July 2017. I'm entering the date by using the shortcut control semicolon, and then when I hit enter, I'm violating the rule. So it says the rule is not valid. And notice this is the default message of Microsoft Excel, because I didn't specify in the alert tab what I should have as a message if or as a custom message if the user violates the rule. So I'm going to hit cancel, and I'm going to type, let's say, the 1st of July 2017, and that was yesterday's date, and this one is accepted. For the department range, I don't want to type anymore, so I would like to create a drop list. And a drop list in Excel is very easy to create. And you can create a drop list in so many ways. So we have simple drop lists that are created by typing. So you type the different options that you want to see in the drop list. Let's say I would like to create a drop list in this cell, and in the drop list I want to see 4 values A, B, C, D. So how to do that? I select the cell, and then on the data tab I click on data validation. And what would you like to allow in this drop list? So if I click on the down pointing arrow for the drop list, and then I select list, here I can type my values separated by comma. So I'll type A, comma B, comma C, comma D. These are the values that I would like to see in my drop list. And then I'm going to hit OK, and I created a drop list. So if I click on the down arrow, I can see the different values that I typed in my list, and I can select any one of them. I can do the same exact thing here for the departments and type the different departments separated by commas. But an easier way to do that, I do have the departments available here somewhere else in my Excel spreadsheet. So I'm going to use the values that are already available in my spreadsheet. How to do that? I'm going to select the range where I want my data validation drop list to appear, and I'll click on data validation one more time. And here, what would you like to allow? I'm on the settings tab, so I'll click on the down arrow and select a list. what's the source for this list. I could type in this list, as I did in the previous example. I could type the different values separated by commas. But since I already have them, so I'm going to put my blinking cursor in the source box and then simply click and drag to select the different values, and I'm done. If I want to enter an input message, which is a tooltip to guide the user, I could do it right here as we did before. If I want to type an alert message and select a different icon, I can do it here on the error alert tab. I'm not going to do that. I already explained it. I'm going to hit OK. And now if I select any cell, I can see the down pointing arrow with the different values to select. That was the first part of this tutorial. In the second part, I'll show you how to create two lists where the contents of the second list change based upon the contents or your selection in the first list. We'll be creating an advanced data validation drop list. Thank you for watching, and until we meet in the next tutorial about data validation, your comments are much appreciated. Thank you very much.